All right. Oh, did everyone? I liked it.
Seems like a charity. It wasn't a war. It was like a charity.
Ed.
How are you?
Hey, Steve. Hey, Rob. How are you? Sorry. Oh, wait. There we go. Oh.
Yes.
And that's going up too. Everything's going up. Crazy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Listen, I know you weren't here, and I know you're not going to like it. We voted to keep our masks on. I'm just letting you know. It's whatever. I'm just letting you know.
All right, everybody.
No.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order because we're running a little bit late because we did have our first budget committee meeting. So thank you for everyone that did attend. And I think Cindy will be making sure that our presentation will be on the website. So anyone that could not attend can go on our website. So we're going to call the meeting to order at 7:09. And if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I start with my comments tonight, and I just want to ask Neil, we have public comment. I'd like to add after the superintendent's comments, actually, I'm sorry, after 3C, after the routine approvals, I'd like to add public comment for agenda items only. We moved public comment. We will not be timing public comment. We will let you speak tonight as much as you'd like to speak, and we'll try to answer all your questions. But we did move that at the end after business because we want to make sure that we get through our approvals and our business tonight because that's what we're here for. But if anyone has any comments or concerns on our agenda items only, I'd like to add, I guess, 3D. If we could do do I need a motion for that? All right, so I'd like to make a motion to add public comment
Motion.
for agenda items only. Motion by Steve Anella, second by Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. All right. And then I'm going to keep my comments brief because we have a big crowd and I anticipate that there's going to be hopefully a lot of polite discussion, courteous discussion tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I think this is the most amount of attendees at one of my board meetings that I've been to. So thank you for taking the time. And it's important for all of our families that you're here. And I see we have some children here too, students. So I'd like to remind everyone to let's be kind to each other and set a good role model for our children. And thank you. I hope maybe we have some future advocates or educators or maybe some politicians, sitting here. So on that note, I'm going to keep, like I said, my comments brief, but I just want to address one item, especially since it's been all over social media. And like I said many times, I like to go on there at midnight. I have nothing else to do. So we had and you can correct me with the dates or not. And I believe Chad is here. I see him over there. But there was a lawsuit filed maybe, what was it, 2 weeks ago or so, 2.5 weeks ago, when the judge, Rademacher, decided that case later on, and it was late in the afternoon. We pulled the board right away. As soon as we got the word from Neil, what the decision was, as soon as we got some legal advice, because we always seek to do the prudent thing in North Merrick. We were actually, Newsday did not report it, but we believe we were the first Nassau County school district to unmask children. So, and that was unanimously polled by the board. We did inform the union. Notice went out. I know it was very late. I think it was 8:45, but we took action right away as soon as we thought it was legally wise and we were able to. So as soon as we were able to do so, and we were the first school district to do so. And again, the late notice, I know people were not happy with the way the messaging went out, but we had no choice. We didn't know the court decision was coming out until it came out. It came out later on in the afternoon. We consulted. Every board member was very quick to take action. And the next morning, we made it mask optional in all 3 schools. And you're all aware of that if you're parents here and you have students. So that was mask optional. Unfortunately, there was some, I can let Neil talk about that, but there was a stay, an appeal. And then on Wednesday, we went back to following the mask mandate because, we were advised that we had to under the law. Then on Thursday morning, we're still obviously mask mandated. Neil called me and Dr. Siniak in the morning to advise us of amicus curiae brief, a friend of the court brief that was going to be filed by another law firm, not by our school board attorneys and not by Chad. And that was to show support for the unmasking of the children. And I'm summarizing this, and you guys can look at this up, and you can talk to me at public comment, and Neil was happy to answer questions. We were told that we had a deadline, of a few hours to join this brief, and we could not pull the school board together in time. This was, I think I was notified at 10:30 or so. We had to talk to all the board members, and I think we had a filing deadline of I think it was noon or 12:30. So we did the next best thing, and we pulled together a virtual school board meeting for 8 or 8:15 the next morning on Friday. All the board members made it their priority to attend, and we did waive the notice because I know that there are some questions about the notice of the meeting. We have the right to, we have the discretion to do so and the board unanimously approved waiving the notice because it was such an important issue and it was time sensitive. We had a discussion in executive session because it's a matter of potential litigation and it's a legal matter. So we did talk about it in executive session. We came out, a motion was made. There was no motion. There was no discussion on the motion. And I'm going to say that was just because there was a time constraint. We lost one board member that had to go to work. Other members had to go to work. And kids had to get dropped off at school and whatnot too. So anyway, there was a vote that was made. A motion that was made. The motion failed. The majority of the board decided not to join the brief. And I just wanted to open it up to the board right now as to if they choose to, and we're allowed to legally. I cleared that with Neil. Why did the board decide not to file this brief or join this brief? So I would like to say why I did not.
Megan, can I just say
Yeah,
quickly?
sure, of course.
The motion didn't fail. The motion passed.
No, it
Right?
did not.
But we voted on it, right? Is that?
No, the motion, we voted not to, I think Mary made the motion to join the brief and
Yeah,
it
I
failed
second it.
and it was not approved.
I know, but then we voted on it, right?
Right.
I'm saying.
So the motion
There
failed.
was a vote.
Yeah, but the motion did not pass, did not carry, failed. Yeah. So,
Technicality.
yeah, there was a
There
motion made. there was not enough support for it. The motion failed. We did not move forward with the action. Yes. So, I don't want to take up too much time talking about this because I know you are all here with questions of your own, but I think it's important to realize and to understand why, each board member, if you choose to say why you did not vote for it or you did vote for it. I personally did not vote for it because I think it was consistent with how the board and I've been conducting my time here that, we're here to advocate for our students. I agree with that and conduct board business and school district business. But, this was a law firm that, this is not Ingerman. We had a few hours to decide whether or not we're going to do this. This would this was binding, swaying a decision one way or another. We did not send out a parent survey or anything about masking or unmasking. The last survey we had about masking, it was, what was it, Cindy? Dr. Cindy?
48% to 52%.
40 to 52. The majority of the school districts on Long Island did not. I think it was four of them or eight altogether did join. The brief, the brief was already filed on Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon, and it had to be accepted by the Court of Appeals. And I did not think that it was going to make a difference or was appropriate for North Merrick to join this law firm. I'm sorry, the appellate division to do so. So that's why I did not do it. We had legal advice from counsel. We talked to, Neil gave us some advice from other, what was going on throughout Long Island as well. It was consistent with, we're following the rules all along. I have been saying that we don't make the laws here. We are not legislators. That's what your elected officials are for. Your senators, your legislators, your assembly people. But as soon as we were able to unmask the children that Monday night, when the court said that we could, we did. So I'm going to open up to anyone else on the board who'd like. I guess we'll go,
Sure.
Steve.
I was just a little upset about the length of the meeting. I was told it was only going to be 15 minutes. I had to go to work. And in my night, can you hear me now? I was just a little upset because of the length of the meeting. We were told it was only going to be 15 minutes, and I didn't really get a chance to vote. I just think that it wouldn't have hurt to join. I think we should have. It wouldn't have cost the district anything. It would have been one step closer to giving the parents the option on what they want to do with their kids. So that's the way I feel. I was just a little upset that it should have been a lot quicker than what it was, to give us all an opportunity to, I didn't even get a chance to speak. That was my only gripe. So, thank you.
Kathy?
I was just not comfortable with the time that we had to really disseminate the information. So basically, for me, it was a time issue. I really didn't fully understand it, and I wasn't going to vote on something that I didn't really understand.
And going back to that, I think that's why it did take a little bit longer, because we had counsel, giving a background, and he went, and Neil did his due diligence and started with, because we didn't have a board meeting. We went from Monday, what happened with the Monday case, all the way to Friday. And we were also one of the few school districts that even had a meeting on this amicus curiae brief. So anyway, Mr. Corona.
Yeah, I think the most compelling argument to me was I didn't see that it was really appropriate for us to engage with an unvetted lawyer that we didn't have any relationship with, now authorizing him to speak for our district. Also, the way that this board has been operating, along with just about every other board of education on Long Island, I think there are only 4 districts in Nassau, only 4 districts in Suffolk that went along with the amicus, and I felt it was appropriate for us to stay the same course.
How do you want to go first?
Okay. I don't agree. I think we've had 18 months to be thinking about these masks. Even the 4 and 4, there are technicalities. We were under the impression we could still file it on Friday. So I don't think that number is legitimate, only in the sense that there was a lot of times and dates, and so I'm not sure if I can, I don't believe personally the 4 and 4. I think it was just that's who got it in time. But for me, I had asked in exec, it was a legal question about the cost to the district. I've been concerned about finances for the last 5 years. It was going to be zero cost to the district, and our children need, I think, our Board of Education and every Board of Education in the state of New York to step up for them, so.
Don't press it. Don't press it. Okay. So I agree, Mr. Corona, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. This was a lawyer we hadn't worked with. And Ms. Ryan, we follow laws on the board. We don't actually make them. And I felt uncomfortable doing that. We are not a political body. We are a fiduciary interest for the district. And also, you know, I know, unfortunately, they don't often attend meetings, but I hear from people who do not want us to do this thing. So I had to vote in their interest as well. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to say that.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Crowley?
Well, I don't know how you guys probably know how I feel on masks. I voted for it because I'm trying to get rid of the mask. I want to do anything I can to get these kids to see their teachers. And the amount of people that I heard from, maybe it's just the people I'm surrounded by, no one wants the masks. So that's why I voted for it. For the people that voted for me, they're the ones that tell me that they don't want the mask. So that's why I voted to try to remove the masks.
I just want to be clear. I mean,
Yep,
Mr. Crowley, thank you. I'm also not for the masks, and I will tell you, it was a very nice day that Tuesday when my fourth grader did not have to wear her mask to school. It was a great day. It was nice, and she came home. They're happy. So my thing is making sure that we do the appropriate action in our capacity, as Ms. Miller said. And again, I did not think it was appropriate to bind the school district to a brief that is a friend of the court, that's discretionary in the court to even take up, and that from a law firm that we don't have a contract with, and I know nothing about, and from what my research, it might be a great law firm, but does environmental class action suits and not educational suits. If anyone else, any other board member wants to follow up or make a comment.
Yeah, I did.
Then we're going to close.
I think it was important to understand that my decision to vote against it had nothing to do with my decision or my feelings on mask or unmask. Understand that as fiduciaries for our school district, every decision we make can't simply be one topic. We have to listen to advice from council. And there are many other aspects of this that were important. And I felt my vote was more to protect the interests of our school district and really was not mask or unmask. It wasn't as simple as that.
And I'd like to remind, as we said in the beginning, every board member did quickly polled, I don't say we took a vote, to go forward and unmask the children, make a mask optional, make it parents' choice for that Tuesday in school when we're able to, due to the lawsuit. All right, I want to move on because I want to get to, I'm sure we have some public speakers tonight. I'm going to ask Dr. Siniak if she can please provide her comments for the evening.
Good evening, welcome. So good to see everybody. So what's going on in our schools? We finally are having our holiday concerts next week. So get that jingle back in your rhythm, and looking forward to Fayette on Monday night, Old Mill Road on Tuesday night, and Camp Avenue on Wednesday night at Brookside School. Can't wait to see our students back on the stage, and looking forward to that. And before you know it, we'll have our spring concerts. There'll be a real quick turnaround this year. So a lot of music in our near future. We had another big snowstorm. We were fortunate that it happened on the weekend. Big shout out to our custodians and our maintenance and buildings and grounds team and Mr. Carter. They did an amazing job to ensure that on Monday, our sidewalks were safe and our children and our parents were able to arrive safely. Black History Month, we're doing some great things in our classrooms and in our schools through literature, historical studies, morning meeting activities, in our art and music classes. So ask your children about what's going on in their classrooms for Black History Month. Some exciting news for North Merrick. We are now moving forward with a universal pre-K program for September. We have an RFP going out this week. Unfortunately, we do not have room or space in our own schools, but we are able to use the funding to secure 51 seats in outside pre-K programs in the neighborhood, and more to come on that. Those 51 seats will be distributed through a lottery system, as all school districts do for UPK, and look for more information on that. Thank you.
Okay, if we can have a motion to approve the routine approvals, 3A, B, and 3C, a motion to approve
Motion.
by Mr. Crowley, second by Tracy Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously passes. Now, if we can go to, we're going to add it, Joanne, as a 3D, public comments on agenda items only. So if anyone has any comments on our agenda, please bring up your cards. And then we are going to do public comment on anything you'd like to discuss after new business. Thank you. Oh, Anna Higgins. I can see you. Welcome.
Hi. Can you guys elaborate before voting on the purpose of the audit in Agenda A?
Yeah, we're going to actually go through a description on, you're talking about 4A, and we're going to have Dr. Siniak explain 4A, 4B, and 4E.
Okay, and
Yep.
when explaining 4A, will the audit address the news article about our district being in distress? Is that the purpose for the audit?
I don't believe so.
No,
I'm going to
I'm
let
sorry.
Dr. Siniak
What do we
just,
have? We have A, B, and E? I'm sorry.
we're going to go through, each motion will be done separately tonight, and she's going to give a description. I think your question is if 4A has to do with the
The
fiscal-
collection, right. Your question about 4A, it has nothing to do with what was in Newsday. We now have federal funds for the money that we are getting from the American Rescue Plan, and with the funding from COVID relief. So in order to secure that funding, we need to have a single audit by our company to be able to ensure that we are in compliance with putting the money in those funds. So
Right,
that's 4A.
that's exact, so it's not going to address the comment that our district is in distress?
No, and if you, I mean, I can go into that now if you'd like.
Sure.
I'm sure Mr. McDade can add to it. Because we went out for a tax anticipation notice, because our cash flow was limited due to the lack of taxes received, that gave us points in our fiscal score, which put us on that list. Did you want to add to that,
No.
Mr.
Do you want to
McDade?
mention? Yeah.
Basically, what happens each year is the Controller's Office has a scale of point systems to put districts, whether or not they're in fiscal stress or not. To be in fiscal stress, you have to get a total of 25 points, between 25 points and 50 points. What wound up happening with the district last year, because of COVID, we had additional expenses, and we didn't receive the federal funds yet, as well as we had to go out for a TAN. So since we didn't have the federal funds yet, we had a lower cash flow, which resulted in about 20 points for us. So that was 20 points for that. The next 10 points was strictly because we had to go out for a TAN. A TAN is a tax anticipation note when we're waiting for the taxes. If you may recall last year, the town of Hempstead allowed everybody to wait a couple months to pay their taxes. Well, then we didn't have that money coming in. So we were forced to go out for a TAN last year. Many districts each year go out for TANs. That was the first time this district had gone out for a TAN in a very long time. The irony of the whole thing, and I had a conversation with the state in regard to this, is that if we had continued to go out for a TAN year in and year out, we would not have been on the fiscal stress year list, because you get an additional 10 points for the first time you go out for a TAN. And that's what happened for us last year. So you take that 10 points off, we have 20 points. We're under the 25. We're not fiscally stressed. And one of the other things, just to reiterate with that, okay, everybody's talking about North Merrick being in fiscally stressed. I have a list here of many districts that have been in over between Wantor, North Belmore, Rockville Center, Long Beach, Sachem, Oceanside, Comac, have all been labeled in the past couple of years as fiscally stressed. So we have a reserve plan in place. which again started last year. Anyone that was in regard to the budget process knows that we lowered the appropriate fund balance. Each year, we review the reserve plan to see what we need to do. One of the main things for the reserve plan that we have that's board adopted each year is to try to limit the amount of money that we have to give for the appropriate fund balance, because it gets harder and harder each year to save money from the budget because the budget's tighter and tighter. When the budgets are tighter each year, there's less money left over. When there's less money left over, there's less money to put back into reserves. So the goal is to limit that as much as possible. So we have a plan in place. It's a plan in place that's been in place since I've been here. We're continuing to do it. The reserve plan is online for anyone to see if they have any questions in regard to that. And if one of your questions is not answered, it's like
Reach out to you.
just reach out to me.
Okay.
Thank
have my
you.
number.
Thank you.
Did you want the answer for B?
No, we're going to go through
Okay.
that. I'm going to have you explain each motion. Are there any public commenters on the agenda items? We have that's not on the agenda. So any public commenter, and if you have a public comment card ready, if you'd like to hand it up when you get a chance to, I guess, Joanne or Mr. McDade, whoever. But we're going to move forward with the business tonight. So Dr. Siniak did explain 4A. I would like to have a motion on the approval of 4A.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Crowley, seconded by Mr. Nella. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Dr. Siniak, if you could explain 4B.
Yes, Ed Law 2D protects our student data, and with such a big surge in instructional technology programs, we go through the different BOCES who vet these companies to ensure that the data of our students is protected. And the newest ones on their list, which we actually use here in North Merrick, are listed in the resolution.
We have a motion on 4B.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. Keen. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. 4C, I just wanted to thank, oh no, not 4C, sorry, skipped it, that's 4D. 4C, I'm not thanking BOCES. If you could explain BOCES, if you could explain it, Dr. Siniak, 4C.
4C, under Mr. Carter's leadership, we have some windows that need repair at Camp Avenue School, and we are doing it in a bid with Nassau BOCES, which will be able to allow us to do the glazing services, get the supplies, and repair the windows.
And that will be a savings for the district by going through BOCES?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve 4C?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Corona, second by Ms. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 4D, I'd like to thank North Merrick SEPTA for their donation. If we could have a motion on 4D, and that's for, they're sending us 4 life vac kits for our district nurses' offices. So I think it was Ms. Miller, or Ms. Keen made the motion, seconded by Mr. Nella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 4E, Dr. Siniak, can you, or if you want Neil to? No, I can Neil, okay.
Fine. We're happy to have the board this evening take a vote on an MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, with our CSEA unit, meaning that if they approve it and ratify it, and I believe that they're voting on Friday, that we don't have to wait until March to approve it. So the board is approving it tonight, pending that ratification by the unit members. And we'd like to, on behalf of the Board of Education and Central Office, thank CSEA for a very thorough, patient negotiation.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve 4E. Ms. Keen, seconded by Ms. Miller, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 4F, a motion to approve our 2022-2023 school calendar. A motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Crowley, seconded by Ms. Moran. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. A motion to approve our personal actions report as detailed in the mailing.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Crowley, seconded by Ms. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. A motion to approve our 6A and 6B. Motion up. Second by Ms. Keen. First, Ms. Miller, seconded by Ms. Keen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion carries. A report of our committees. High school report. Is that Mr. Corona tonight? Mr. Corona?
I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
So we had our a monthly meeting on February 2nd. At that meeting, we honored 6 Regeneron semifinalists. They were Michelle Brown, Brandon Lynn, Christopher Luisi, Christopher Pernito, Desiree Regard, and Shannon Sue. It should be noted that we had 6 of the total of 49 on Long Island of the Regeneron semifinalists. Furthermore, 2 of them are among the 40 in the entire nation that are Regeneron finalists. So another amazing year. We had quite a few last year as well. Yeah. Also at that meeting, Eric Arlen, our Director of Alternative Education, presented our Counseling and Wellness Center. That's a program we have at the Central High School District. It's unique, one of the first of its kind on Long Island, and it was very good to hear about the progress it's been making. Later on that meeting, Mr. Eric Gomez, who's currently the principal of Metham High School, was appointed as the Assistant Superintendent for Personnel. That'll be effective July 1st of this year, 2022. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Corona. School Committee Relations and PTA Council report.
Can I do that?
Is that Ms. Keene? Thank you.
Yeah, just try to keep this quick. I know we have a lot of people here. So all the PTAs are just fabulous. I'll start with SEPTA. Thank you so much for those 4 LifeVac kits for our nurse's office. That's just awesome for all of us. SEPTA, February 10th at 7 p.m. is their virtual So Yummy event from So Fun City, a free event for SEPTA members. It's part art class, part cooking class. And Wednesday, March 9th, there'll be a virtual Stuff a Pet workshop for our family fun night. Deadline is February 11th. Pizza My Heart Do-It-Yourself Pizza Kit fundraiser is happening right now, although the pickup is at Fayette on February 9th. Old Mill Road, PARP is scheduled for the last couple weeks in February. Pizza kits are in the works. They're looking into other spiritware companies, just looking for a new vendor. They have had a great turnout for the Valentine boosters, so those will go home on the 14th. Family Fun Night is currently scheduled for March, but because of everything, indoors, outdoors, weather, that's still to be figured out. And Dr. Seniak had mentioned how Fayette's been really good about breaking down some of their indoor fundraisers by grade. So OMR is going to continue to look into that. And so good things happening there. Camp Avenue, PARP was a great success. They had a Swirls World and pizza making fundraiser, which were great. They have the poet Darren Sardelli, who's doing a virtual show on the 14th. Parents were able to purchase his book, and he's going to personalize and sign for the kids. And they're looking into a plan for Bingo for Books. They're trying to make it work. Bingo for Books is great in the district, and they want as many participants as possible. So again, it's sort of a wait and see right now, but it's going to happen. Just don't know exactly when. Their next PTA meeting is the 9th at 7:30. Fayette's PTA meeting is the 9th at 7. And Camp Avenue is working on collecting wait, did I mess this up? I'm on Camp, yep. Camp is working on collecting donations for their auction, which is April 6th at the Coral House. Their book fair is the 16th and the 17th. And last, Fayette, the science fair is underway. Students in grades 3 through 6 will be submitting projects. Projects need to be handed in by the 14th, and there's a Flipgrid presentation on the 15th. Their Sweet Notes fundraiser ended on the 4th, did well. The Mother-Son Bowling Night was a huge success, and they highly recommend that bowling alley in Wantagh for being so nice to work with. The Father-Daughter Sweetheart Skate is going to be held on Thursday the 10th, February 10th. Their Amazon fundraisers ongoing. Participants can go to smile.amazon to make a purchase. And a lot of good things happening. They're looking to get more new faces on their executive committee for next year. Reflections, they have 2 students who are Nassau regional finalists, so that's very exciting. Their work for these 2 students has been sent to the New York State PTA for judging. So lots of great things happening everywhere. Thank you to all the PTAs.
Thank you. I know we're looking forward to Thursday with the Sweetheart Dance, so that'll be nice. Building and Grounds, Mr. Carter, I just want to thank you for the snow removal the other day, and also you did such a great job with the Nassau County Police Department. We had a medical emergency in the area, and the fact that they were able to land a helicopter to help a resident on our field. I mean, thank you. You had everything
Absolutely.
cleared out, and I heard from many different sides that it was
great.
just, good job. So thank you
Excellent.
to you and your team.
So the big news, as the board president just mentioned, was the blizzard. Fortunately, it happened on a weekend. Unfortunately for the kids, I suppose. My guys worked starting early Saturday morning, worked all through the day until sundown. Came back on Sunday, finished up, and by the time they left on Sunday, every stitch of pavement was dry. There was no ice. There was no water. It was a thing of beauty. And Mr. Ryan, like you mentioned, the Nassau County Police had to land a helicopter to help someone in distress in the neighborhood. And they took a look at our parking lot and said, that's the perfect place. Not a lot of places were available after a foot of snow. So again, hats off to my guys and the crew. They did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, communications. Joanne, how many communications did we receive?
We received 85 communications about masking, 1 communication about UPK program, and 1 about the district component setup. That was
Okay,
it.
Thank you. Unfinished business or any unfinished business to discuss? New business, any new business that the board would like to bring?
I have
Mr. Brown?
item or two. Just like the first one, the mask mandate is supposed to expire at the 21st, I believe. Do we have a plan in place of what we're going to do as of that date? If that's something we could put together, if we have it already, that's even better.
I thought the plan was to go mask optional and make it parent's choice, but if
Okay.
that's, I mean, I think.
Yeah, and also with the contact tracing stuff as well. I know we got a lot of questions on that as well.
Yes, if the masks become optional and parent choice, we are working right now internally with staff and faculty regarding protocols that may need to be adapted for mask optional. And once we finalize those behind the scenes, we will be sharing those with parents. The board was presented with the plan, and at this time, we're working with the faculty. We also have to keep in mind, and I think this is something that people need to think about, that if and when this happens, there may be changes in protocols that exist now. So then we have to flip to whatever those are, and the assumption would be that they may not be as stringent at that time. So it's almost a wait and see. So it's plan A, plan B, plan C.
Okay, perfect. And this other one I have is just, I guess it's, as a board member, I would like to request for our attorneys to look into how and if we can file a lawsuit against the governor in New York State to remove their mask mandate. Thank you, Neil.
All right, so Neil will look at that and report back to the board, or you want to?
I can report. Yeah, I'll report back.
Yeah.
I have just 2 things too. The next budget meeting, I request that we start much earlier than today. I know that affects executive session,
Yeah, we're
but
just gonna have to start make sure all the board members, we need a quorum for executive session
right,
before.
we just need to give the people who joined the budget committee a chance to take in the information and ask questions, which was limited, especially coming up. I mean, we need more time for sure. Well, I know I'm speaking as a whole. I just don't think we left anybody a chance to ask any questions tonight. So
Right.
we need to increase. I would love for it to start at 6, but we have to obviously make it work with exec also, so.
Yeah, we do have to schedule it with executive session in mind. And Mr. McDade, what's the date of your next presentation, the repeat of tonight's presentation?
15th of February,
At the time?
1 p.m.
And that will be live streamed? Yes. Say that
You're gonna
again?
be doing the same, you're gonna be going over the same information that you went over
Yes.
tonight?
Yes, we'll be going over the same information we went over tonight and answering any questions that come up. at
And
that
we're gonna
point.
be doing that for each,
Yes, or for
Every 2
each
weeks.
one, we do 2.
Right, so there are 2
One in the
chances.
evening, one during the day, and that one's live streamed. So if there's any questions, they can be emailed and you can answer them during the live stream as well, as we've done in the past with Zoom meetings, et cetera.
That works, yes.
Okay.
And with that, I'm still requesting more time for the Zoom I get is 1 o'clock, but the March meeting, I'm requesting more time. The other thing is, I see public comments, we've moved to the end, which I'm okay with, or going forward, if we could have public comments in the beginning and at the end, just because when we had it at the beginning, people couldn't comment, didn't have a chance to comment about some of the agenda items or new business that was brought.
Public comment for agenda items.
Great,
Yes.
but going forward, we'll keep it this way.
No, going forward, I think we're going back to public comment as we always did in the beginning. I mean, it's
But
it's
can we-
up to the board, whatever.
Right, can we have a
whatever-
discussion about it, so it gives
Yeah.
people not, like, for example, I brought up the yellow cards last time, people are sitting in the audience, they may have wanted to comment or not, but we didn't even give them a
Yes,
chance
we did. We
because,
had public comment in the beginning. Yeah,
right,
we
but
had
they
it
didn't know
done
I was
twice.
bringing up it was on yellow
Yeah,
cards.
we've had
I
two-
guess
we
if they
did
didn't know
yellow
what the
cards.
discussion was
We had
about.
2 meetings on yellow cards to make sure that we had ample time and people could email the district, and I don't think we got any emails regarding yellow cards at all, but yes.
I just think things come up and people then don't have a chance to comment about it at the end, so.
So I'm unclear. What are you asking for?
I
Because
would
we
like
do
public
comment in the
comments to
beginning.
stay at the end, or keep public comments for agenda items only at the beginning, and then keep public comments at the
So
end.
go back
wants
to two.
to.
Go back
We
to
always
go
had
back
two.
to two public comments.
Yeah,
comments.
that's the way it was.
We
Yeah.
can do that. I mean, whatever.
It's fine, do it.
Whatever you like, Mary.
Thanks, Rob. So I would like to put a motion forward to make a motion to add public comment for agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, and then we'll keep public comment at the end of the meeting after our new business. So if you have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
By Mary, a second by Mr. Crowley, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, so we're going to have 2 public comments just going forward, and we'll put this in the agenda going forward. Agenda items only in the beginning, and then afterwards, whatever the public residents like to discuss. Okay, any other new business for tonight? All right, let's move on to public comments. I'm going to read the guidelines. Any person wishing to make comments or raise questions shall fill out a comment card. After you're called, please come forward to the microphone, state your name. All comments or questions shall be directed to the board president or superintendent of schools. The board or administration will do their best to immediately respond to any questions. Out of courtesy and fairness to the rest of the audience, each person will limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes, not to exceed a 30-minute session. We're not putting a cap on the 30-minute session tonight. I think we were talking about the public discussion with respect to confidential matters is prohibited. Before I go to this, I did get one comment where the person did not want to speak and did not identify themselves, but they asked 2 questions, so I just want to identify, we can go through that very quickly. The question was, what is the infection rate between our school with the mask and compared with the schools that have unmasked? And if you haven't compared it, why not? There aren't any schools that are unmasked. All the schools right now are masked. That's why we're kind of in this predicament right now. Number 2, when will Camp Avenue School allow class moms and parents into the school for events? I'm going to defer to Dr. Siniak to answer that question.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. We've been working very closely, our building principals, with our PTAs and our teachers to hold bigger events in the schools with parent volunteers. Some of those events that may have been only one day have been spread out over several days. We have not pivoted to in-classroom events with parents. We were looking to get to the break and reevaluate that afterwards and see what changes were coming down, because we have a feeling there may be.
All right, our first public speaker night, Mike Spadaro. Hey, Mike.
I'd like to thank the board very much. First, I want to say you all have a difficult job. It's thankless. I know you volunteer a lot of time, so I just want to thank everybody. Quickly, Mr. McDade, regarding the budget committee, are we able to ask questions on the Zoom the following meeting? Because we didn't really have an opportunity today. That'd be great. My question is for Dr. Siniak regarding the 3rd grade class size. I brought this up at a board meeting maybe 2 months ago. Just wondering if there's any new updates. My son has 25 students in his class. He has 2 children that get pushed in. I believe he has another child that was added to the class within the past few weeks. It's a very large cohort. I'm wondering if there's any new updates about adding a additional class specifically at Fayette for the third grade class.
Yes, although the board has not seen the has not approved the budget for next year, and it has not gone out to the public, the plan in that budget is to add another section. Because of the push-in numbers will only increase as the students get older without talking about specific students. And yes, so the plan is to move forward with another section here.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. That's half the reason why I joined the budget committee, so thank you. It's music
And,
to my
and
ears.
to be honest with you, it's something that you could really only do, especially with younger children, in September. It would be a very big social and emotional move to be able to do it now, mid-year.
Sure.
Because of the connections made. So I ask that you just be patient and look forward to that.
I will. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much, and I hope I was the most non-controversial. Good luck.
Thank you. All right. Christine Kim, I'm just going to remind our speakers, if you can raise the microphone, you can take it out, but if we could use the microphone. Christine Kim.
I just
Good
wanted
evening.
to take an opportunity to thank the Board of Education and Administration for all your hard work through the past 2 years under some very difficult circumstances. And I also wanted to say thank you for not entering into an agreement for litigation without doing the appropriate due diligence. I want to first say I'm in support of every parent's right to decide whether to mask or unmask, but I also believe very much in transparency. So with that, I'd like to just ask the Board and Administration to comment on what it would mean for the Board of Education and Administration not to follow New York State guidelines and New York State education law and unmask our kids without the appropriate authority granted by New York State.
If it's okay with the board, I'm going to defer to Neil on that, if that's all right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand the question. Can you repeat that again, please?
So I just want to create transparency for all the parents that are in the room, what it would mean to the New York State, to North Merrick School District if we were to unmask our children without the appropriate authorization from the New York State Board of Education.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before at prior board meetings, and the state has, said that there is a regulation in effect and that it expects that all the school districts in the state of New York will comply with that regulation. And they've indicated that they are prepared to enforce that regulation if a district decides not to. I heard a question about how, what has been stated was that they would withhold state funding, that they would potentially fine, they have fining ability, and that the Commissioner of Education has the authority to remove school board members who she determines to be in willful violation of the law. So that's what we've heard from the State Education Department. That's what I've advised my client, and has the potential ramifications if we were to take such action.
And in terms of state aid that's provided to the community to support our school district and our budget, roughly what would that translate to in loss of income to the district, which the taxpayers would have
Defer
to
to
pay?
Mr. McDade.
$9.5 million.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jackie Luciana. Hello.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I don't know if you remember me. I was here last month, mental health counselor and mom of a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old in Old Mill School District. So a few things. First, I want to ask Mr. Smith, hey, why you're not talking to Chad at all, right? Like, you say that you're for the kids, right? The board says that they're for the kids, which I think that you are, although it seems like some of your actions are not. Why wouldn't you at least talk to a parent in the school district who is like advocating for our kids, right? So that's the first thing that I'm just curious, right? I know you had a conversation after the last board meeting, but like, why aren't we really talking about this, right? This is a serious thing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to Dr. Senia.
All right, I just want to stop you. I'm going to let Mr. Block.
Go ahead.
Mr. Smith.
It's not Mr. Smith, Mr. Block. I'm going to let him respond.
Sorry, I don't
Mr.
know.
Smith passed away a number of years ago.
So sorry to hear that.
It's okay.
They still collected money.
I had, well, I don't really want to discuss, outreach between Chad and myself. Chad has sent some communication to my law firm
Sure.
But I don't think it's appropriate to discuss that in public right now.
Right, but I think you work for us, right? And that's
represent the school-
something.
yeah, I represent-
and this
I
is our
represent the
school
school board
district.
and my
Yeah, and
goal-
these are my tax dollars, right?
Right.
They're going here. So
Right.
I just want to remind you of that, if possible, right? To actually look into the best interest of like what all of these people are here tonight. But that's neither here nor there, right? That's just something that I implore you to sort of look into going forward. The second thing is my son Lewis is 6 years old. He's 6. He was born in 2015. That was not very long ago, right? And he has been made to feel like crap on 2 separate occasions by the staff at Old Mill Road, right? And I don't want to get emotional, but it makes me angry. And I've spoken to the staff myself, Nurse Tori and his teachers myself, and the extra teachers, the extracurricular teachers that have said things to him when he's been absent with a headache, right? These are things like, oh, Lewis, you can't pull your mask down. These are things he comes home and says to me, right? This is very upsetting. And so whatever, right? I'm not here to get upset. I'm not here to say to you, to accuse anybody of anything. What I'm here to ask of you today is to please teach your staff, help them to be better, train them. This is not a scary thing. This is not something, and it was a scary thing, right? I don't mean to say it like that, but these kids shouldn't be burdened with this virus. They've been burdened long enough, right? They're so young. That's all.
Krista Hughes. Hi, Krista.
All right, so I have 2 questions. The first is for Dr. Siniak. The incoming kindergarten class, are they going to have an opportunity to go into the schools before the first day of school?
Yes.
Okay, is there going to be like, I know in the past they've had in-person like screenings. Is it going to be a similar situation?
Yes, we had in-person screenings over the last summer, 2 summers actually, and we were able to do that following protocols. Hopefully, we'll do it back to normal. We felt that the in-person experience was so valuable that we made the accommodations to do that, and we look forward to doing it again this summer, as well as getting the students together to socialize and see the building as well prior to their formal arrival in September.
Good, glad to hear that. Secondly, last week we received communication from the principal at Old Mill that due to the dramatic decline in the COVID numbers, they were reevaluating some of the procedures in regards to drop-off and like dismissal. So my question is, what other procedures are we reevaluating? And is there like a timeline on when some of these changes might go into effect?
When we began the whole idea of multiple entrances for arrival and dismissal, we were following protocols to keep our schools open. With that, we've also noticed some safety issues that have come out of these multiple entrances and exits for our children at arrival and dismissal. So that is the trigger for the reevaluation, as well as the fact that we are not in the same place now that we were last school year. So will still have some multiple entrances and dismissals. There will not be as many though, because as we're looking at it, it became more of a safety issue as well. As you say, looking at other protocols, we're actually just awaiting if there's any changes to then adapt those protocols.
All right, because I was told that things like story time rugs were coming back into some of the younger grades classrooms. I asked my daughter, she said she hasn't seen any of those changes. So I was wondering when that will be happening, since I was told it is happening, and if we can have story rugs, can we have communal tables that are like more developmentally appropriate for the kindergarten and first graders, like get rid of the desk.
And we have brought back some of the small group tables. Logistically, and I know Mr. Carter can speak to this, a lot of this stuff is in storage in trailers, and we're trying to sort through it as well and work with our teachers to provide some of these things back in their classroom. Unfortunately, between the weather and everything else, we haven't been able to do a full onset rollout of putting everything back in, but we are slowly putting these things back in the classroom.
All right, we have the February break coming up. Would we be able to get more things changed over that time?
Yes, of course, because our maintenance team and our custodial team are working.
Okay, so we'll see more communal setups for our younger grades.
Well, I hope that you're seeing that already, yes.
We're not.
Okay, well, maybe not everywhere, but we're
Yeah,
hoping to improve upon that.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Will, Luciana?
Hello. I wanted to say that when I got the email that the school district was going mask optional on Monday night, I was, incredibly proud that our district, our little, tiny little district, was one of the first in the entire state to make that announcement. And when my son, my first grade son, went to school on Tuesday with no mask on, he was ecstatic. It was the first time he had been inside his school with no mask on. And so I guess I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for giving that to him. And thank you for showing that, all the times that you were up here saying that you would go mask optional if you could, well, that you stood by that. So thank you for that. But that kind of led to my shock and dismay on Friday morning when I tuned in for the special Board of Education meeting that, immediately went into executive session and then came back and had the vote against joining the amicus brief in favor of our guy Chad's lawsuit. It seemed to be the complete opposite of the courageous decision that you had made on Monday. And I was here in school board meetings back, in September and October, imploring you guys to not be timid and to advocate for our children, because that's what we as parents were asking you to do. And so then to come here now, and I'm grateful that you addressed this at the beginning of the meeting, and to hear excuses given by members of this board along the lines of every other school district wasn't doing it, and we needed more time. I couldn't read the 18-page brief between the time that we got it on Thursday morning and the time I had to vote for it on Friday. And I think that the people in this room and the people in this district know who has been fighting for our children, and they know who has not been fighting for our children. So I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to ask a question. We had heard from our legal counsel, and I don't mean Mr. Block. I think that Ingerman and Smith represents 73 or however many.
Not as many as reported, but it's in the 50s.
Many school districts on Long Island, and there are many partners at the firm, and I think that they've had a firm-wide position on these issues that the mask mandate was constitutional. There was basically no sense in trying to challenge it. It would be a waste of money to join any lawsuit. I know Mr. Crowley asked to look into that, and maybe that's not the exact advice
that's not a fair representation.
you were given,
I
but
think he said it wasn't appropriate for the school district to go. But I don't want to speak for Neil. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. You want to finish?
Finish. I'm
well,
sorry.
I was going to say, have
Sorry.
you discussed that now that a couple of dads, or one dad really, in this district was looking at the law and saw it jump off the page at him, how unconstitutional that it really was, and that now that the law of the land in New York State is that it's unconstitutional. I understand that it's been stayed, but that's the law of the land in New York State, is that this regulation is unconstitutional. Have you addressed that with our council? Do you still have confidence in the legal advice that you're getting from our council? And what are you doing to ensure, and again, I don't mean this in any negative way towards you. I just know I'm also a lawyer. I do corporate transactional work. And if a client of mine was asking to do something and asking, and I told them, no, you can't do that, or I gave them very strong advice in the negative against that, and then they found out that other people were out in the market doing that exact same thing, they would reevaluate their relationship with me as their attorney. So have you had those conversations, and what is the procedure going to be going forward to evaluate that? Because I know, we've been here begging for meeting after meeting after meeting for something to be done, and there was no proactive thing being done to help that. So are we going to look into getting counsel, or is Ingram and Smith going to look into being more proactive in, supporting the parents of the districts that they work for.
Thank you. All right, thank you. First of all, there were some inaccuracies in your first comment, where there were no excuses made. We were giving justifications as to why we voted. No one said there was not enough time to read the document. We were saying, I think, well, I read the documents. I pulled the board meeting together. I mean, we all made sure that we were available. So it wasn't that. It was we didn't know. We were making sure we were vetting the attorney. The attorney does not represent our school district, and also it was I don't know if an amicus curiae brief is a friend of the court showing support. It's not. It was already made. It was not, we did not think, certain board members did not think it was appropriate, as we have been consistent, as you said, to start litigation, whether it cost us nothing or it cost us something, you're still getting our school district involved into a lawsuit. And again, as other parents have mentioned, and there are emails too that, and staff, we also represent the district too. We have responsibility to our employees to make them feel safe, the union, our students, the parents. Not every parent wants to unmask the children. Some children went to school with masks that day. I'm just telling you. And it's optional. Anyway, so I don't think it's a fair or accurate statement to say that there were excuses made. And again, I think our actions do speak. We were the first school district that made it mask optional. I don't want to say it's unmasking the children. We made it mask optional when the law allowed it. And I'm going to let Neil go defer to, and this, I'm going to say, if we cannot have a courteous, polite public comment, we will adjourn it. So number two, Neil Block never said that, his advice was it was not appropriate to have the school district start a lawsuit. We're talking budget 10 minutes ago. We're talking about budget committees and the size of our classrooms, and we're having playgrounds and everything else. We do not have the money. I mean, I'm going to say we don't have the funds to start lawsuits suing the state that controls our funding and everything else. So I'm going to defer to Neil, and I say, and that was always. I mean, that was the consensus of the board, and most of the time it was the majority. It was unanimously. So I'm going to let Neil.
I guess my role is just to provide the board with information and for the board to make a decision, an educated decision. I'm not advocating regarding constitutionality. I tell the board they didn't have the authority to determine whether that regulation was constitutional or not. That would be something that would have to be litigated, and a court of law make that determination. And as we all know, right now it's presently before the highest court in the state, the Court of Appeals, to make that determination. There was the opportunity for the board to join a lawsuit that was filed earlier in the year. We spoke about that at prior meetings also. That was Massapequa and Locust Valley, and I think, I'm not sure if you were here, Will, or Chad. I know that there was advocating that the district join that particular lawsuit, and they had the opportunity, the ability to be able to join that suit. They made the decision not to do that, but that was presented to them as an avenue potentially of litigating it. That decision ended up, it was dismissed, and the dismissal was on procedural grounds because that particular court in Albany County determined that Locust Valley and Massapequa didn't have legal standing to sue the state. The school districts, that court said, could not sue the state. With respect to going to mask optional, and when the decision came down, which you found, your child was able to go to school that next day and be mask optional, we went out that night. There was a question as to when the state filed its notice of appeal that night. They quickly filed the notice of appeal as to whether or not an automatic stay applied by virtue of their filing the appeal. We went out that night and said that it was our opinion that an automatic stay did not apply, that the state would actually have to make an application to the court to get that stay. They ultimately ended up doing that the following day. But in that intervening period of time, since there was no stay based upon our analysis, North Merrick went mask optional. And we immediately notified North Merrick of that, which is probably why they were the first district in Nassau County to go out and announce that. So I just want to clear that up.
Thank you.
Thank
It does seem then that the legal advice was sound, and just, I'm not trying to harp on anything here, but the one inconsistency that I'm kind of seeing is that whereas initially, the advice was that it was going to be very costly litigation in order to join that lawsuit, and we don't have the budget for it, and
Well, there's
seeing
two
the
separate
budget.
issues. One was
It's
the
clear.
starting a lawsuit to sue
Right.
the state to make it mask optional.
Right.
That was, then you're talking about the amicus curiae
Right.
brief with a law firm that was not vetted, not with us, and we're showing support to we're actually telling this, that the school district here is showing support into a lawsuit when we didn't do a parent survey. Like I said, we are, and again, I'm of the belief that we are not supposed to be binding our school district into lawsuits or getting involved in lawsuits when we don't have to be. Why? I don't understand that. And again, it was the majority of our board felt the same way, and it was under the advice of council.
No, I understand.
And majority, when you talk about other school districts, I'm not afraid to go out and be a lone wolf. Newsday did not report it. We were the first school district in Nassau County. I'm not sure about all of Long Island, but in Nassau County, we were the first school district to provide mask optional. And that was done unanimously by this board. I want to move on. We have to move on. We have a lot of public comments. Chad Laveglia, if you're next.
Hello. So last month and the month before and the month before that, I stood right here with the law in my hand telling you that these determinations were not valid. They are fictional, made up. And you didn't listen. I sent you an email with the law. You didn't listen. And in fact, the next day, another partner from your firm just gave the same old routine. And so let me ask you this. Do you like apples? Well, how do you like them apples? Because I mopped the floor with the state for these people, for them. So you want to do a survey? Look around. You don't need a survey. Okay? You don't need a survey. This is what we want. We want choice. And unlike the other viewpoints, we're not enforcing or trying to make other kids not wear a mask. They can come to school in a bubble if they want to, okay? We have a choice. And right now, you are enforcing an unconstitutional thing. It is patently improper and on its face unconstitutional. And our Ingerman and Smith did not do its due diligence. They didn't know what SAPA was. They didn't know the constitutional arguments. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. And in August, when I heard the reasoning that the masks were still going on, I went and I did my research. I did my due diligence for the people of this community, not just for my child, but for all of them. And if I'm doing that, then our legal counsel should be doing that as well. And it's not just... And it's not just objective advice. You're not giving objective advice. You're being pulled around by Dr. Rosa in the New York State Education Department. Threats of losing funding with no basis. You're gonna just fear-monger? You're gonna continue fear-mongering? This is ridiculous. These cloth masks, they don't do anything. The CDC even said that. That fake N95 mask you have does nothing. And you're going to hinder our children's development continuously? Continuously. What scars?
Chad, please don't call out board members. Okay, can you just
Fine,
tone it down
yes,
a little bit?
This
yes.
continues, we're going to adjourn
Okay,
and end
okay,
the meeting
okay.
because we're listening to you. We're not timing you. We're allowing everyone to speak. We have children here. I'm asking everyone to please be polite. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Miller. Chad,
I
continue.
apologize.
Yes.
You're welcome. But these children are developing. When you put a mask on them, especially one that doesn't work, it frustrates us, rightfully so. And in addition, you have two lawyers. Both of you are attorneys. You could read what the arguments are. It is not rocket science that an administrative agency doesn't run our lives. It's history. So where is the justification to hinder our children's development further? I mean, how far are you going to take it? That's the question. How far are you going to push all of us? Because I'll tell you this, you will be held accountable. I told you that last time. I'm not joking. You will be held accountable. All right, I don't mean members will be held. No, they will. These are our children's lives here. This is not a joke. This is not funny. It's not a joke.
Chad, no one is laughing. We're giving up our time. We take this very seriously. We have students, my children attend these schools. So I'm going to ask you again, you make these outrageous comments. I mean, we are doing the best we can. We're following the advice of counsel. If any board member would like to make a comment, please do so. If not, we're going to, let's.
Well, the advice of counsel is bad, and I don't want to be paying my tax dollars for it, and they don't either.
Okay.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Tommy Scalise. Tommy Scalise. Well, we'll hold Tommy's card. We'll call him back. Tristan Seto. Tristan. Good evening.
Good evening. I never thought I'd be at a Board of Education meeting in my life.
Welcome.
I thought this was beyond me, but nevertheless.
Hope you come back.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we take care of this, but thank you for your time. Thank you for letting us all speak. As a parent, I have 2 kids in Camp Avenue. My daughter is in 1st grade. She's never had a normal day of school until last week. It's insane. She hates school. She shouldn't hate school in 1st grade. We can't keep going on like this. This is insane. Like Chad said, they don't work. These masks don't work. Aside from that, what is the end game here? How long are we going to continue to follow this? If she continues to keep the mask mandate in effect till next September, are we going to start another school year with this? Are we going to keep following this blindly? What is the end game here? That's what I want to know. At what point do we say, hey, we're not doing this anymore? It's going to be mask optional.
Yeah. Again, the challenge, the constitutionality of the regulation that's what Chad was referencing is presently before the highest court of the state right now. So we're all expecting a decision from that court. And the decision of that court, there's no other court to go higher than that unless you go to the federal system, you go to the United States Supreme Court. So that's going to be very important, when that court renders that decision. But we also know that the regulation is supposed to expire on February 21st.
Right.
And there's also the other regulation about indoor public places, which is set to expire on Thursday. Apparently, the governor's making some announcement.
I think,
tomorrow.
I got the update.
So, it's very possible that this regulation, may expire in the next couple of weeks.
Let's go with the worst case scenario.
That the Court of Appeals could determine that the stay that was issued was improper.
Okay,
which
but if
case,
they
then
do,
it
worst
would
case
become
scenario,
as
they say it's good, it's proper, are we going to just continue to follow this blindly for years? Or whenever she decides it's okay to stop?
Right.
That's an
Well,
issue.
It's again, it's.
At some point, we have to be like, we're done with this. We're not doing this anymore. You can't, we got to go back to some kind of normalcy. And not even for me, for the kids. Something's got to give here. Whether, if we got to go at it alone, so be it. It is what it is. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
I'm going to go back to Rob Relius. I'm sorry. I can't read your hand right. Sorry. Welcome. Sorry. You didn't go to North Merrick, I don't think. Yeah.
I am a product of the East Middle School system, so there you go. All right, yeah.
Sorry.
Let's go Jets, all right?
I'm glad you upgraded.
Yeah, right? First, before I speak, Universal Pre-K, awesome. Psyched about that. Anything to help out that lottery, let me know. But yeah. And, thank you guys again for giving us the 1 day of freedom. But even more thanks to Chad for fighting for us to get us that 1 day of freedom. And really what I want to say is that, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, Oregon, the science expert on CNN, all of a sudden on Monday decided, oh, we don't need mask mandates in schools anymore. Now, either something with COVID happened over the weekend magically, or the Democrat Party are more concerned with their failing approval numbers than they are with failing COVID numbers, because that's why all those restrictions are getting lifted. Now, Hochul, our unelected governor of New York, has a different agenda, and she's even said herself that she wants vaccine rates to go higher for kids. She wants jabs in 5-year-olds for some reason. She thinks it's advantageous for her to win her primary and win a general election, so that's why she's doing that. It's not about health anymore. This is a political battle that we are all entrenched in. Hochul is using the board here as a political tool and using our kids as a political pawn to say, hey, I got all these vaccine numbers up. That's all she cares about. And this board, you guys make me lose my train of thought here. Come on. All right. So, I mean, really, this board has a choice. I mean, honestly, because I hear all the time, oh, no, if we have the vote, which Bruce Blakeman said we should, which I know board members here were there for the signing of the executive orders. We need to have that vote. That's really what I'm asking for, is to have the vote. I know a letter went out saying, hey, if there's no extensions or anything on the 21st, okay, mask optional. We need that vote saying no. No outs, because the letter has more outs than someone with ace king suited in a poker game in that letter, okay? So we need a vote here, no outs on the 21st, we're going mask optional. Because, the threats be darned. Because I hate to get cynical and political here, but dare Hochul to say, I'm going to take away funding from elementary school kids and teachers in an election year. That is going to go over real well when she's trying to get the nominee and win a general, that she's taking money away from kids and teachers. I don't think she's going to play that game. So I'm asking because, and a lot of you guys, you don't have kids in the district. So this is not a 24-hour nightmare that all the parents here are going through every day. When I was here in September, there was 5 of us. Look how many people are here now, okay? So this is a 24-hour nightmare where our heart breaks every morning dropping our kids off and putting that mask on, and breaks even more in the afternoon when we're picking them up and their faces are still covered. This is not okay, we vote, we got to do what's prudence, we got to do what the law says. No, this is for our kids. So we need you guys to step up, take that vote, and make mask optionals for our people. Enough is enough. I know guys, people asking, when is the end game? The end game's now. Because if we wait any longer, it's going to last on and on and on. It's going to be another one, like DJ Khaled, another one, another 2 weeks, okay? Another 2 weeks, and then it's going to be vaccines. There's going to be vaccine mandates, all right? And it's enough. The line has been drawn. You're either bound to the bureaucrats and the elected people in New York, or you're with the people of the community that voted you in and you're supposed to represent. Thank you.
Kimberly Boyette. Kim Boyette. If you just come to the microphone, thank you. We're live streaming it, so if you come to the microphone and talk to the microphone, thank you.
I just have one question because everything else has been answered. How many lawyers are up here? I'm curious.
Can you please?
How many lawyers are here? I'm just curious how many of you, I know you're a lawyer and you're a lawyer. Is anybody else here a lawyer? I mean, because you're a lawyer. So how long does it take to read 20 pages? I know you said that you didn't say that you didn't have enough time, but I know some of you said you didn't have enough time. So
I can assure you that I read it, and I can assure you also, and also the amicus curiae brief. I just want to also be clear. The county, who also signed the executive orders, we were there.
Yeah, I was there. You were there.
I know.
If you're there,
I'm just
why are
telling
you speaking out for our children?
I am speaking for the children.
No, you're not.
I'm not going to argue with you, Miss Boyette. All I'm going to say is that the county did not go for the amicus curiae brief either.
You stand behind him when they
I don't know why you're not listening to me. The amicus curiae brief.
Because you stood behind them and then you did nothing for our kids. And we're done. You're going down.
All right. On that note, I'm adjourning this meeting because the board is not going to be attacked. So have a good night. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Motion. Right, second? Mr. Crowley, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
unanimously passed.